everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out, and definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. So I want you to imagine getting into a bathing suit and purposely walking across a stage so that people can critique your body. Now imagine that just a few years ago you were overweight and out of shape and felt most comfortable in baggy sweatpants and as far away from a bathing suit as possible. 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine won 4th place in a women's bodybuilding competition, and yes, the same woman had transformed herself from overweight to mega fit. I didn't know her until she was already on her journey, but I don't need to know her then to tell you her story now, because it's my story too. My battle wasn't with my weight, but we had the exact same fight. It was what was in our heads and our hearts about ourselves. In today's video, I want to talk to you about internal strength, courage, and determination. I want to talk to you about freeing yourself from what isn't good for you. Having the strength to get out of a narcissistic relationship seems impossible. You are so beaten down. It's like you're drowning, and it literally takes everything in you to keep your head above water and continue breathing. Then somebody tells you that you have to do more. Now you need to swim a mile in frigid water upstream with sharks chasing you. Human beings have 3 reactions to fear: fight, flight, or freeze. So many of us freeze in these horrible circumstances. We become paralyzed with fear of the narcissist. We end up hoping for a miracle. That's our way out. For years, my plan of escape was hoping my ex would die. That was it. I was a grown woman. I had a brain in my head, but somehow I lived as though I was helpless. And I can come up with a million reasons why that is. But the reality, what it comes down to, is I locked myself in my own prison cell. I was a victim of my own heart, my own head. My hope in life was somebody else dying, and I fantasized about that. With the life insurance, I'd be okay financially. I could pay off my house. I could set my kids up to have a good life. It totally went over my head that I had the ability to change my life from the inside out. I had the key to the prison cell that I had put myself in. That's what I needed to do. I used to pray Psalm 55 on a regular basis. I would literally pray to God and ask him, essentially, to kill my ex for me, to take him away. That was my plan. And I would come up with these reasons why God should do it. And sometimes I would even get mad at him. Why isn't he doing this, God? Didn't you hear what I said? This is best for me. This is best for my children. I had put myself completely in the center of the world, and I believed that God should obey me. Now, I wasn't thinking this consciously, but essentially today, in retrospect, that's exactly what I was doing. And I want to tell you what I learned. What I learned is that when you are in an entanglement with a narcissist, it isn't about the narcissist. It's about you. It's about me. Now, that doesn't take away from who the narcissist is. The narcissist is a horrible being. I personally believe, my belief is that when you are battling narcissism, you are in spiritual warfare. I believe that that's true. But you can't change anybody else. We don't have the power to do that. And if we wait and pray and hold on to a miracle as the answer to our life, we risk staying in the entanglement forever. So many of you have told me, have confessed to me how badly you want to get out of the relationship, how you want to be free, and you're praying for it. And that's important. It is, because I believe that ultimately, because when we're dealing with a narcissist, we're dealing with spiritual warfare, God is who needs to save you. But it can't just be God. God has to guide you. You have to listen for the voice of God, and God is quiet. He's not usually loud. You need to listen to the small voice of God and follow that, because the truth is that only you can free yourself. Freedom from narcissism comes from within. And I know it's difficult because you need to do this when you feel your weakest. But something that I really have learned is that inside of yourself, all of us have more strength than we believe that we do. When it comes down to it, we can do it. We can take one more breath, one more step. We can go through one more day. Think about if you were absolutely exhausted. You're so tired. You feel like you can't even take another step and you just can't wait to go to bed that night. So finally you're in bed and you feel like that's it. I just need my sleep. And then your house is on fire. Would you be able to get up and get out? Or imagine if your child got hurt in the middle of the night. You wake up to glass breaking and somehow they broke a glass and their hands are bleeding and there's blood everywhere. You wouldn't find the strength to get them to the hospital? Or if your child was starving and you literally had no food in your house and your child is crying, you wouldn't find a way to get them food. I want you to think of yourself like that, because so many of us are so selfless when it comes to other people. But when it comes to ourselves, we treat ourselves terrible. We treat ourselves like we're worth nothing. And then we show other people how to treat us. Because the thing with a narcissist is that a narcissist chooses us purposefully. They don't think that we are going to fight. They believe that we're weak, and narcissists test us. They give us little tests and we pass these tests and we don't take care of ourselves. And a narcissist realizes that we're the perfect victim, that we're not going to leave them. They can abuse us and we're never going to leave. And they count on that and they hope for that. And they live that way, and we get worse and worse and worse and live more and more miserable lives. And the narcissist ends up taking full advantage of that. And then we're left miserable, and we're left within these relationships and these entanglements. Our kids' lives are ruined, our lives are ruined, and the narcissist is living some sick fantasy. And I want to tell you what I've learned. Now that I'm on the other side, especially, I'm in a place I never thought that I would be. I can't believe it. And I almost feel like I have survivor's guilt because I got out and I never thought I was going to be able to get out. And here I am. And I can't believe it. I'm 1,000 miles away. I'm starting over. I got away. And I have this drive to help other people get there too. Because I didn't do it by myself. I did it with God's help. And I want all of you to be able to get to the other side too. I want all of us to. I don't want anybody to be a victim of a narcissist. Never. The thing about a narcissist is that if you have a narcissist in your life, they'll poison you. It's like a slow, agonizing death. You're letting somebody else hold your happiness. You're a child of God. Think about how you feel about your own child, what you would want for your own child in life. Now think about what God wants you, what wants for you. He didn't make you so that you could be the victim of somebody else. You need yourself to achieve happiness. Nobody else can give you happiness but yourself. And remember, your child is going to watch the way that you live your life. They're going to follow your path. Whatever you put up with, your own child is going to put up with. Now let's think about a bird sitting on a tree. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because the bird's trust isn't in the branch, it's in its wings. We need to have trust in ourselves. We need to have faith in ourselves. So many of us are big animal lovers. I'm a big animal lover too. Most of you know that I have a lot of pets. I actually don't know how many pets I have, so that might give you an idea of what I mean when I say I have a lot of pets. But I breed pets, and I also rehabilitate wild animals. And the thing about pets is that when you love them, when you pour into them freely all the love that you have, and at the end, every single thing that you get, you have to give it all back. And we do it again and again. That strength. I want to tell you about a little mouse that I had. I had a pet deer mouse for 4 years. And actually, when I had this mouse, I didn't advertise that I had him because technically it was illegal because deer mice can carry hantavirus. But I had this wild deer mouse that my daughter found in the yard. And she found him when he was just a few days old. He was a little ball of fur. He was about an inch long. His eyes were still sealed shut. And she comes into the house and she tells me that she had this mouse and it was in the yard and we needed to help it. And I was confused when she told me this. And then I went outside and I couldn't believe it. There was this little teeny ball of fluff. And so I told the kids, I was like, all right, watch this mouse, because I was hoping its mother would come back, because I wanted it to be with its mother. I didn't know what to do with it. So after about 15 minutes, my daughter said that there was a squirrel coming around and it was watching the mouse. They had to keep scaring it away. And I was afraid that the squirrel was going to eat the mouse. So at that point, I brought it inside. And we kept this mouse. We had this beautiful little mouse, and it was the sweetest little guy. So here he was, and he was this little ball of fur. We put him in a little tank with a heat pad, and I went out and I got him kitten formula. And what I would do is he had to eat every 2 hours. So I'd warm up this formula. I would set an alarm, and around the clock, I would feed him. And I would take this little paintbrush and dip it in the warm kitten formula, and he would suck it off the paintbrush. And this mouse thrived. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, that's so horrible. You should have released him. Or, he needed friends. Well, I couldn't get him a friend because it was a male and they would have fought. If it was a female, I would have went to a pet store and bought another mouse. But I'll tell you, I couldn't release this mouse because he was used to people. We had taken care of him. He wouldn't have been able to survive on his own. But he had a good life with us. I actually kept him in a reptile cage. I had these big cages down in my basement. So I brought him upstairs, and the cages were big. They were like 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide. I had 2 of them, and I connected them with these tubes. And he was such a sweet mouse. He actually knew his name. I wouldn't believe this if this didn't happen. I'd call his name, and he would come to the door of the cage, and I would open it up, and he would come right out, and he would sit in my hand, and he wanted to be petted, and he loved to be scratched under his chin, and he liked his belly rubbed. I mean, he really did. And when he was about 3.5, it started occurring to me that he wasn't going to be around for much longer. Mice only live a year or two. Here he was 3.5. I actually lived till he was 4. But one day, he was dead. He just wasn't alive anymore. And it was horrible. And I was so upset. But I had to do one more thing for him. And I had heard somebody say one time that one of the greatest things you can do for somebody is bury them, to take care of them after death. Because in death, they can't do anything for you. They're completely vulnerable. You need to take care of them, and nothing is going to be done for you afterwards. Not that you do things for other people to do anything for you, but just when it comes to death, there's no chance in that. So it's pure love to take care of somebody after death. And I did that for this mouse, and it was so painful. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. This mouse that I loved and took care of and cherished every day for 4 years. I nursed this little mouse back to health when it was abandoned in the yard, and now I had to put it in a hole in the ground. And I thought I was going to die when I had to put him in that hole. It was absolutely horrible. My son dug a hole for him, and I had him in this little box, and my son offered to do it. I'll do it, Mommy. I'll put him in the ground for you. You don't have to do it. But I knew that I did have to do it because I had this mouse all through his life. I had to do this. I had to give him this in death. I had to do the whole thing. I picked him out of the yard when he was a 1-week-old mouse. And now God had called him home, and I had to put him back in the earth. It was something I had to do. Only I could do it. And it hurt me deeply to do it. It was painful to put him in. And then my son offered to bury him, to put the dirt on top. But I had to do it. There was something in me that had to do it. And I did it. And I took care of this mouse from the second I picked him up from the yard until I put him back in the ground in another area of the yard. And that's what we all need to do. We need to find the strength inside of ourselves to do the things we think are impossible. Because nothing Nothing is impossible if you look deep within yourself and put yourself first. If you love yourself the way you love your children, the way you love the narcissist, the way you love and care about everybody else, there's nothing that can stop you. I got away from the narcissist when I started putting myself and my kids first, when I had determination, when I knew nothing could stop us, because it was so miserable at one point with the narcissist. I would rather die than be with him ever again. And at that point, I didn't know it until I was totally free, but at that point, I had already won because I had unlocked myself from my own prison. And that's what I want for you as well. The reality is that the gap between the life you want and the life you are living is called mindset, focus, and consistency. None of us have to be in hell with the narcissist. Keep yourself first. Do not ever let a narcissist be ahead of you in priority. A narcissist has their own hell that they're living with. Do not go down to their level. Rise above it. Take your kids and run to freedom. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so grateful for everybody who watches my videos. I hope this helps. I have this desire to help people get free. All of us can be free. Nobody needs to be in chains at the mercy of a narcissist. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I will see you on Friday. And I guess that's it. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.